Coming to you live from the Stream.tv studios in Hollywood, California, Pensado's Place is brought to you by Vintage King, the Blackbird Academy, Avid, Recording Connection, Studio 202, Slate Media Technologies and Slate Digital, and Audio Technica.
We call our guest the Christmas King. We've got a special two-part ITL. The Blackbird promotion is in full swing. Countdown to Pensado Awards coming right at you really soon. You're at the place, baby. It's Pensado's Place.
Yay! Hey guys, glad to have you with us. It's going to be a fun day. Good day. How you, Herbert?
I'm good.
You're one step away from sock puppets on this.
Listen, I don't even know where I am. I'll talk to you June 29th, and then we'll be able to catch
we
back
have a
up.
lot of countries watching, and that's.
And what does that mean?
Well, a lot of people don't know what that means.
Should we explain it?
2 hairs past a mole.
Okay, great. That's what time it would be.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You're having one of those weeks?
No. It was a great week. I hung out with Bob Clearmountain, and I didn't hang out with them, but I went to a show that they were at the Chevy put on. It was really good, really cool. It was great. Chris was on fire. That was a lot of fun. And then Cole and I went to see a show on gaming, the award show for gaming.
Oh, cool.
Interesting. I've never seen so many little nerds packed in one place.
Except at some of our functions.
I love nerds. I be one.
That's right. No question. Well, we're jam-packed. Should we get to it?
Let's do it, my friend.
Good deal. Hey there, folks. How was your week? Keep on pushing through. That's what we advise, and that's what we do. If you are looking for intense, just stop by the Pensado office. It is absolutely bonkers. Everyone is in serious pregame. We'll get to that in just a second. If you would, like and subscribe, please, and thank you for that. To our all-star sponsor family, the ubiquitous and ever-growing Vintage King, getting it done in Detroit, Nashville, and L.A. Just the best in gear, customer experience, and expertise. Love you guys. Tons of activity at the Blackbird Academy. There are still seats open for the July studio class and the live class. Additionally, make sure you enter the Blackbird Academy Live Experience Contest. Here's how that works. Several of you can win the real live experience of setting up a sound check, seeing how it's executed, sharing the experience of actual front of house live mixing. All this process is taught by our super master, Mr. John McBride, our good friend. There are several cities that you can see right here. Look at those cities, see what you're close to, and make sure you enter. Those destinations are available to you, but you can't wait. Very simple way to enter the contest. All you have to do is send your email to karma@theblackbirdacademy.com. That's C-A-R-M-A, car, what you drive, ma, your mother. Put those together and you'll have it. Don't delay. It's a great opportunity to not only see how that works, to explore an area that's actually burgeoning, that there's jobs in, there's opportunity in. True. And the Blackbird Academy teaches both incredible studio stuff and live things. Get yourself involved. Last week, how about our lunch with Audio Technica? How cool were those guys?
Oh, real cool.
Yeah.
Cooler than I ever knew because you know how you and I love companies that have as their birth and a really spirited person that really loves the audio space. The gentleman that started the company is certainly that, and I think his spirit is reflected to this day in that company.
We love the fact that the people who care about it and the products that they're sending us, they are passionate guys. We had a great time. They're going to be a great beneficiary for you guys. We're going to put some things together, and I think our audience is going to enjoy it. I know we like their product already. And, and they're really committed to making sure their name gets established and people understand who they are. Shout out to our friends at Avid for always being there. Anthony, let us know about the blessed event. We know you're on baby watch. Karidi, Collier, and all the gang. Yeah, he's about to have a child. Folks, what's up? You know we love you guys. Dave and I talked to Steve and Slate. about 3 days ago, and then afterwards you get off the phone, you're just like electrified.
I have to go take a nap after.
No question about it. No question about it.
He's a high maintenance man.
He is a ball, and his energy we love. He sent us some cool video on the Raven 2. We'll be sharing that with you probably within the next week or so. Dave's going to test drive one. He'll give us your report. But based on what we looked at, it's pretty exciting what he's doing.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the Raven, and this is an improvement. It's really cool.
He and Fab think about it differently.
One of my great pleasures in life is going to NAMM and AES and heckling Steven every time I see him.
That's true.
And in the process, I've learned a lot about the Raven.
We might not advise you to do that way.
Oh, no, go ahead. He loves it. He's from New York. He thrives on it.
So look for that stuff coming through. Slate Media Technology and Slate Digital is always being aggressive, always being innovative, and the beneficiaries of all that will be you. This week's ITL is brought to you by the Recording Connection. They're busy educating folks where they live. Lots of our guests agree wholeheartedly with their mentor to mentee teaching method that they utilize. And you're going to see that play out in this really cool ITL done from a legendary studio. That'll be coming to you in a second. That's a two-parter, correct?
Correct.
Cool. And finally, the Pensado Awards. My goodness. We are so close we can almost touch it. Our team is working their full heads off to make sure not only that you have a great time, but that we honor our incredibly gifted comrades. The nominations are locked and loaded. Should we share a couple of them with folks?
Which ones? Whisper.
No, I'll just tell you.
What?
So let's, for instance, the Pensado Giant Award. The nominees are Leslie Ann Jones, Ed Cherney, Bruce Swedien, Al Schmidt, and Sylvia Massey. Doesn't get much more giant than those esteemed folks. Another one, the Oh My God Mix of the Year nominees, Justin Niebanks, Noah Forty Shabib, Manny American, Tony Maserati, Leslie Brathwaite. All killers. Spin Doctor DJ Award, DJ Snake, Steve Angeli, DJ Ali, Mac J, and TJR. Smoking. There's a bunch more. You can see all these nominees right here, right there on that slate. Plus, you can go to PensadoAwards.com, and we also have the PensadosPlace.tv. Now, the details of the big night. Saturday, June 28th, 1 block from the beach at the beautiful Fairmont Hotel. For information, go to PensadoAwards.com. There are still some tickets, not a bunch, but there's still some tickets there. You can get them there. You can also get info on hotels that fit your price range. Any other details that you need, or reach out to us directly, we'll get back to you. Your host, rock and roll acronym CLA, Chris Lord Alge, Miami's own pop Latina queen, Marcela Arequia, songstress and chanteuse, Lisa Loeb, and New York hip hop don and USC professor, Young Guru. We've spoken to all of them the last couple days. They're all fired up. Hell, they fired me up just talking to them. I thought I was getting tired.
I got a correction.
Oh, what's that?
You might not need a hotel room because the word on the street is we ain't going home. We're partying all night.
So we'll just stay there.
Just stay there. Just
Cool.
stay in the ballroom.
The word on the street past that is right when that's over, you and I will be bankrupt. so just so you know.
Oh, great. So we're extending it.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Just amazing intensity from those guys. Folks are coming out of the woodworks. Yesterday, Macy called you and wanted to present. This morning, I got a call from vocal producer genius Cucurell. He's like, hey, man, you're not doing this without me. I'll be there. Harmony Samuels called me from in the car on the way over. He's like, Hub, I've got to be involved. I said, don't worry, you're involved. We've got interviews and photo shoots. It's just absolutely bananas. Let's get to the dress. We get that question a lot. Pretty simple. Men, get your rock and roll swagger out. Sprinkle a little dose of attitude on it. Whatever your version of it is, bring it. Ladies, make it hot. Get bold. Step out there. Most of all, you guys just have fun. This is your night. It's your community. We believe you should celebrate this and not get boring and sit there and just get to go to sleep. We're going to have a party, and then we're going to have an after party. That after party is DJ'd by Young Guru, who promises Dave and I he's going to straight light it up.
He will.
So I will be in there. You can save a dance for me. And what is our motto after the awards show? What are we aiming for? Booties bumping, mascara melting. That is the goal. I will be measuring that. If your mascara isn't melting, your booty's not bumping, you will suffer a penalty.
Did you start that Kickstarter campaign for bail and bonds?
We did.
Okay, good.
And we've raised $74.
Okay, so don't go to
somebody's
jail.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be a party. It's going to be a celebration. A lot of folks coming, a lot of buzz, and we are excited. You guys save a dance for me. We're a couple weeks away. Mr. P, serve up our ITL, sir.
Oh, we're going to hang out with John King at Chung King Studios, world famous Chung King Studios, and sit in on a mentoring session. Here we go. Hey guys, today we're got a little special ITL for you today. I'm hanging out with my buddy John King over at Chung King Studios. We're going to sit in on a mentoring session. John, how you doing, my friend?
How you doing, Dave?
Man, real pleasure to see you. I'm such a huge fan of Chung King Studios. A lot of the formative years that I was coming along, I was ripping off records daily that were created at one of your facilities.
Glad to hear that.
Among many. And what a pleasure to talk with you. And Jamie, good to see you too. Thanks for all the help in setting this up. What are we doing today, John?
Well, today, one of the things that this is one of my favorite parts of it. Since I'm also a producer, I like to start telling people, I like showing people what to do once they've got their basic platform of their beat, their rhythm tracks, and their bass lines. It's like, what do you do? Now, how do you control your dynamics on top of that? What do you start doing? You know, do you just take a single microphone and flop it over? You just take one microphone and record everything with it, which is going to cause you a little bit of problem. And I'm working with this is with the Recording Connection, which is one of our friends in the industry. I do the mentoring with Justin here, and with a lot of other people. And I try to give them some kind of real world experience when it comes to this, because when you go to make your records, you have to try to make them sound like $1 million. I don't care if you're working on a laptop. I don't care if you're working in your basement with socks hung all over the walls. You still want to make it sound good. So microphones is a very important part of this, and the difference in the dynamics of different microphones as you try to put your tracks on top of your basic tracks. It's like I said, everybody knows their plugins. They all got that down by this point. So now we want to show them something that they really need to do.
So it sounds like in terms of your mentoring, you get pretty deep into this stuff. It's not just a surface amount of teaching you're doing. You're going into the cracks and exposing them to everything they need to know in the audio world, not just plugins, not just one thing, but you're giving them real world
and
experience.
One of the fun parts is that with the one-on-one basis, I can contour it to the likes and abilities of the student as well. Some students, don't understand the physics of where's my balloon? One of my favorite, I teach compression, and everybody says, well, what's compression? I'm going like, well, this is full of bees. This is all full of bees. Now I press it closer to my head, and the bees are louder. That's compression.
I love that. Can I steal that?
It's just, and if you push it too hard, then you got nothing. Then your track is worthless. But it's like, it's the same as just take your bees, your big little bees, you push them close to your head, and then all of a sudden, now you can hear the back of the voice, the front of the voice, or you can hear the back of the room, the front of the room. It makes it exciting. We're here to make records. We're here to make excitement. We're here to bring fantasy to the world of music,
And you do sell the Chung King balloon on your website, right?
Yeah. Along with the T-shirts as well, yeah.
Oh, good. Well, let's jump right in.
Okay, good. What I'm going to do here is I'm first going to go to a new microphone I call the Bunker Buster, which is the Audio-Technica 5040, which is an amazing microphone. It's got 4 rectangular capsules, and it does not have the resonance of a standard condenser microphone. So it sounds a little bit like a ribbon condenser. But we're going to go to that first.
Mama's probably watching me on YouTube, and I bet Dad's out trimming hedges in the yard.
It's smooth. It's still got the condenser
these days don't
clarity.
Feel the way they used to when I was there to play on my guitar. Well, Sammy's probably driving
now
out Daytona.
Let's go to the.
With her windows
now
down.
We're going to go to a ribbon microphone. We're going to go to a ribbon, and what's my most common comment that I get on a ribbon?
Why does it sound so muddy?
Yeah, why does it sound so boring? And I'm going like, that's because you have to know how to use a ribbon. You know, you have to back off of it. You got a thing. You can put a back insulation on the microphone. It changes the dynamics of how it works. But ribbons are great because they don't have any extra signals in them. They're very clean.
Here it comes. This is it.
This is the ribbon.
Mama's probably watching me on YouTube, and I bet Dad's out trimming hedges in the yard. They keep saying these days don't feel the way they used to when I was there to play on my guitar. Well, Sammy's probably driving out to Daytona.
We got that. Now we'll talk a little bit in between until we get to the... Now, let me know when the next one comes up. The thing about a ribbon mic, and Bruce Swedien was here for a day, and it was one of the most enjoyable days I've spent in a long time because we were talking about the difference in, like, on recording a high-frequency instrument, like a tambourine, a triangle. The guys from Royer were here. We were doing a demonstration, and it was just amazing. It's like after 30 years, it opened my ears to a whole other world of the fact that I can do a lot of work. Now, this is a Sennheiser 421, my favorite. I know you like the SM7, but... You know, I got that too. I couldn't find it actually.
Hedges in the yard. They keep saying
has
these
a natural
days
presence.
Don't feel the way they used to when I was there to play on my guitar. Well, Sammy's probably driving out to Daytona.
Now, what I like about this is I hear the words naturally. I want to hear the words. I don't want to just hear the sound.
I bet Chris just hit I-4 laughing at something Dad said before. Man, I just wish I was there to laugh along.
Okay. Now, the thing about this is that on the original hip-hop tracks I did, for the first 20 records we did, from LL Cool J to the Run DMC to the Beastie Boys to Heavy D to Jodeci to all the groups, is that the standard vocal setup was an Sennheiser 421 going through a DBX 160A with the VU meter, and it was. Excuse me?
I said, no joke. I would have never guessed that. It sounds present. Those records just sound in your face and present. The vocals on those records.
And we didn't have to EQ too much because the mid range of the voice, would come. 421 is known as a little bit brittle, a little bit mid rangey. Well, the thing with hip hop is that it put it right where it belongs because we had bass all over the place. And it was a lot of fun. And then, of course, everybody wants... The one thing I always like to get across to everybody is you don't need to go out and buy the biggest, shiniest chrome round microphone that God has to offer you. You can go, what are the three most favorite microphones for starters? I like, I say, get an SM57 or an SM7 if you got a couple extra bucks. You get a condenser microphone, you can get any one of the decent condenser microphones. But also, get a ribbon, get a Royer. Royer makes a inexpensive... ribbon mic. Audio-Technica makes some incredibly new ribbon mics that are professional. But the bunker buster I was talking about is the Audio-Technica 5040, which is just an incredible microphone. It's like looking through a 50 by 50 foot perfectly clean window at the world. And it doesn't have any distortion. One of the things about a round capsule microphone, it's like a bucket of water. You drop a penny in and you see the ripples go back and forth. Well, the sound's doing the same thing. That's why they're bright. It's because you're hearing the same sound, going back and forth across the dimension of the capsule.
It's just a pleasure to welcome to the desk a really good friend of ours, and we've certainly been in touch recently a bunch. We'll explain that in a little bit. Steve Genewick is not only a super talented guy, what's going to be so interesting that you're going to learn about him is just the breadth and depth of all the genres he's great at. Steve, welcome, bud.
Thank you.
How are you, man?
It's nice to finally be here.
We've been planning this for a minute, right?
Yeah, we've been trying.
Absolutely. Here we are.
You know, one of the things, Herb, I'm going to talk to you for a second, I like about Steve is he's mastered the traditional concepts. He's mastered the modern concepts. The modern concepts are going to be around for a while. We don't know how long some of these other techniques are around, but he utilizes them in very modern ways. And
What are some of the genres?
Each genre has a different kind of unique problem to solve. Like in big band music, what would that be?
Lots of people, and usually a time limit. We're moving very quickly on big band sessions, and just kind of wrangling lots of horn players, which can be herding cats.
And opera.
Opera, it's more we don't do a lot of opera, so it's a different way of recording vocals. You're usually recording from a distance. They can, when they wind up and get going, it's loud.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Two-parter, string section and orchestra.
Again, it's lots of people. We'll spend, by the time we get to the downbeat of the session, most of the work is already done. We'll spend a lot of time beforehand. We're there for hours before the session starts, getting the chairs in the right place, getting the mics in the right place, and then you have about 45 seconds to get a sound and go.
A typical jazz project.
Typical jazz projects, those are some of my favorite. I set them up live, try to get, I've had great teachers, one especially, Mr. Al Schmidt, who I've spent the last 15 years with.
Amazing.
Again, set the room up so that everybody can see, everybody can hear. We get them as close together as possible, and then get your sounds quickly and get out of the way and let them make the music.
Yeah.
Rock.
My theory on rock is kind of the same as the jazz. Get it so everybody can see and everybody's comfortable, make the musicians happy, get a good headphone mix going, and then get out of the way and let them perform. And because we're just trying to capture performance. It's not about, I can't sit around and do snare drum for an hour. It drives me bonkers. So, I'm not one of those guys. Even getting drum sounds for me is, just play the kit. I want to hear it. Just play it. We'll get it together. If we need to change it, we will. So kind of the same attitudes. Get them up and running and playing.
Is there any pressure working at the legendary Capitol Studios? You've got the Frank Sinatra microphone there. You've got the
Don't
chambers.
drop
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, and for those of our audience that aren't familiar with the concept, you're a staff engineer there. A lot of people don't even know what that is anymore. How long have you been a staff engineer?
Last week was 20 years.
No joke.
Yeah.
Wow.
So explain
You've seen a ton, haven't you?
explain what your responsibilities are. Pretty much babysit Al Schmidt, right?
Pretty much, yeah. That's what it's been for the last 15 or so years.
It's a 20-year gig.
There's lines out the door.
And that's, when I got to Capitol, he was, the biggest fish in the biggest pond, and I went, that's what I want to do. And one of my best friends was his assistant at the time, and as he moved on, I just kind of slid right in.
Oh, what a great slot.
And it's been a great 15 years or so since we've been together.
Could you even imagine a better teacher and a set of experience than being with Al Schmidt?
No, not at all. And a nicer guy.
On top
and that's
of that,
the thing is we have so much fun together.
Yeah.
At this point, it's kind of gone beyond, an assistant engineer type thing. It's.
I think of you guys as one. And most people I talk to.
a lot of people do.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
But I think Al does.
I think
when
so.
I talk with Al, absolutely.
Yeah.
We
don't. A lot of times we don't even talk about the sessions. But this is what we're doing. All right, fine. I'll see you there. And
boom, done.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, a staffer. What is that responsibility?
Staff engineer. It depends on the day and what we're doing. We get a lot of project at Capitol because a lot of people know we have staff engineers. So people will come in and say, "Well, you guys know the rooms. You know how to do this, so you do it." Because we do we have very large rooms. We do a lot of orchestral big band type sessions. Not a lot of engineers know how to do that.
That's right.
So we'll get the producer and engineer who are working on a rock album, but they have to come to do the strings. Well, they may show up and be there, but they'll let us record the strings because we know how to do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's doing projects for the label. We don't do a ton of stuff, but it could be archiving stuff, transferring old tapes. If they're doing, a reissue of something, we may have to go in and, remixing old 3-track and 4-track stuff, 8-track stuff. That can be fun. Sometimes it's assisting. So, I don't do it as much as I used to, but obviously with Al, I'm really his assistant. With Al, it goes beyond that because the lines have smeared a little bit. But if there's a big movie session, the Academy Awards, we do that every year. There's 4 engineers on that. Tommy Vicari is the main guy, but that's a week-long process for us.
You've done 14 of those?
16 or 17.
16?
Wow.
Yeah, it's changing. It's getting more complicated because now we do it live from Capitol.
From Capitol.
So the orchestra is at Capitol. The show is down the street at the theater.
Man, I'd love to have a sneak peek when that's going on live. That'd be so cool.
Oh, no, we're going to shoot that. He doesn't know that yet. Oh, are you kidding? We're absolutely going to shoot that.
It's really crazy.
You know what's ironic is that what would now be considered sort of lost art, your ability to do all the things you just described, really now makes you an outlier. In order for people to do it, they've got to come to you. Like it's there's only a few folks who really know how to do that
There's
at
only
that
a few
level.
places
precisely.
where you can do that.
Precisely.
You know, the big rooms, especially in LA. I mean, there's a handful there.
And that's it.
And they're great.
Yeah.
And it's also trying to marry the old stuff with the new stuff, the old styles of recording with the new technology.
Technology.
You know? And trying to get that
balance.
And sometimes it's talking people out of stuff. You know, people will come in and say, you know, we want to make this record and we want it to sound, you know, like an old 1950s jazz record. And you look at them and go, no, that's not what you want.
No,
you really don't want that.
Yeah,
you don't. You know, you can't. You know, listen to that record you're listening to. You can't hear the drums. You don't want that.
Right.
But we can get you what you want.
Right.
So sometimes it's translating what they think they want into what they actually want.
Oh, listen,
we can take it this direction. They go, yeah, that's great.
I have said forever, and Dave's heard it from me forever, you guys, oftentimes part of your set of tools that are underestimated is your ability to be psychologists and sort of manage people and expectations and demands and make it all work, and it's coming from different places at a very vulnerable time for creative people. That's when they're kind of the most vulnerable, and they got and they got to trust you.
And you have to keep that in the back of your mind that for these people, you know, for me it's a day at work.
Right.
Not that I don't take it seriously every day. For them, it's their life's work.
That's right. Precisely. Precisely.
I read a statistic, or either made it up, I think I made it up, that 95% of all the Christmas albums were made at Capitol Records. That's true, right?
I think so.
No,
96,
Seems like that's what we do all summer long.
And one of my favorites, and I'm not gonna lie to our audience. I like Michael
Why change
Bublé.
now?
Well, 97% of everything I say is true, but I love Michael Bublé. Girl I Haven't Met Yet. I love that song, and Steve did a Christmas album with him, and I love it. The guy put loops on his last record, for heaven's sakes, and he's got a lot of aggressiveness. And I think you should pay attention to those records. They're good on a number of ways. Some of that was pretty difficult to do, right, Steve?
Some of it was pretty difficult.
Can you walk us through that?
Yeah, it was actually, that record was interesting because there were two main producers. There were three producers on that record. I actually worked on, I think, other than Michael, I was on more of the record than anybody else because Bob Rock produced the songs that Bob did. I got a call from Bob and said, you know, we're going to do this. It's at Capitol, we have a unique situation where Studio A and Studio B sit next to each other, and the wall between them can open up. So we can actually use both rooms together, and we can get about 65 pieces in there. And Bob called, he said, you know, we're going to do this Christmas record. We got, you know, it's big band and strings and rhythm section and everything. And he said, I make rock albums, so I know how to record the band. Do you know how to do the strings and the horns and all that?
That other stuff?
Absolutely, sure I do. He said, great, this is what we want to do. We want to have, you know, Studio B, which is our old Neve console, and, you know, and he said, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do the rhythm section, and you take care of the brass and the strings, and I just want to hear it beautifully. So, okay, fine. So what we actually ended up doing for Bob's stuff is Bob was in Studio B with kind of the whole show, and everybody was over there, and he had the rhythm section in Studio B. Now, the wall was open between. So the rhythm sections in Studio B, I think there were 3 guitar players, 2 bass players, Jim Keltner was playing drums.
Wow.
Michael's kind of standing in the middle. Now, with Michael, he likes to sing live with the band in the room with no headphones.
No joke.
So we stick a mic in the middle of the room, and he's a great singer, so you can do that.
Right.
Sometimes we have speakers set up, so it makes it even more complicated. Background singers. And then on the Studio A side, I had the entire orchestra. And what we ended up doing was Bob had the rhythm section and everything in Studio B, so he did basically a rhythm session in B, and I took all the mics from the orchestra and I ran them into Studio A and set up my console like I would an orchestral session. We locked 2 Pro Tools rigs together, so I had a separate rig from the guys in B. We sent a couple of stems back and forth, basically for headphone mixes, so they could hear my orchestra, I could hear the rhythm section. I could send, you know, rhythm stuff to the brass and string players out in my room. They could send some strings to the other guys, and we locked the rigs together. We had a conductor in the middle. The musicians had no idea that it was actually 2 separate sessions going on at once.
Wow.
It was completely, to them, it was just one big session, and Michael was in the middle. And it was great for me because all the stuff was going on in B. I was by myself in the room. It sounded great.
Amazing. What?
I mean, again, that was one that took a couple of days to figure out how we were going to lock the rigs and, all that kind of stuff. How, we have tie lines back and forth. So
That's
we were there at
amazing.
like 4 o'clock in the
Genius, right?
morning
Is there
setting
any,
up.
is there any footage of
I was
that
going to ask
anywhere?
you this video.
I don't know. Probably whenever you do a record with Michael, there's cameras all over
Sure,
the place. But
sure.
again, I don't think a lot of people knew exactly what was going on. And in a way, Bob Rock knew what was going on, but he kind of went, "You guys got it?" And we went, "Yeah, we got it." It was me, and at the time, Aaron Walk was another one of our engineers. The Capitol staff was very involved. Our maintenance guys were the best maintenance in the world. We kind of put it all together, and they walked in and went, "Is it cool?" Well, yeah, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. It's done. And he went, "Great." And we made a record.
That was the session where Bublé, I can't even say his name, Bublé decided he wanted something different. He moved the whole rhythm section, and like he's out there moving drums and stuff. Explain that story.
The second half of the day was a more traditional jazz band, and again, Bob said, "You do jazz records, you do it." He said, I'm going to go get something to eat. I'll come back." And not that Bob's not involved; he's very involved. But it was a real jazz combo. So, I set the drums up in the booth and put the bass in a little booth and had strings. It was just strings and rhythm section. Michael standing next to the conductor, wanting to sing. No headphones. We started playing. He said, I can't hear the rhythm section." I said, "Well, we can put headphones on." "I don't want to wear headphones." I said, "Well, what do you want to do?" He says, "What if we just put them right here next to me?" Now I'm looking at a rhythm section that's on the other side of the room. There's probably 40 string players between where I'm standing and the rhythm section. And he went, "Well, let's move it." Okay, this is going to take a minute. And okay, fine, no problem. Called all the Capitol guys, the setup staff, everybody, "All right, guys, pick it up." So we're picking up drums, we're moving. And I turned around and looked at one point, and we had these big gobos that were moving around. And I looked down, and Bob Rock and Michael Bublé are picking up gobos, moving them across the room, just helping.
Oh,
Just
love it.
because, that was what we needed to do. We got everything set up, got everything back. We ready? Yeah, we're ready. They did it once, maybe twice. We were done. That was it.
Wow.
But it was, I'll never forget that
That's
image
kinda
of
neat.
watching Michael and Bob push gobos around the
How
room. But he
cool
doesn't
is that?
care. He just wants to get it done.
Exactly.
I once did a session for Quincy Jones where I used 2 different control rooms. I had one, but nothing like that.
Yeah,
That's pretty
amazing,
impressive.
though. Amazing.
On the Christmas record, let's use that kind of as an example. Was there a moment that you can describe to our viewer that they could check out where they could actually hear the famous chambers at Capitol and understand why your chambers are so well known and liked?
Sure. Well, certainly, again, on that Christmas record, the other half of it was the stuff that David Foster recorded, that Al recorded. So I was on those too. And Al mixed a lot of that stuff. Actually, I think he mixed some of Bob's stuff. Anything that Al Schmidt mixed on that record, you'll hear the chamber quite a bit.
Yeah.
Usually on Michael's vocal. Al combines reverbs a lot, so the vocal reverb was probably a combination of a Bricasti in the chamber, but certainly on the horns and on the strings, you'll hear the Capitol chambers. If you pull up any Sinatra record that was done at Capitol in the 60s, it's all those chambers.
Wow.
And there's nothing like them in the world.
Who gets the job of climbing in the chamber and moving the mics and the speakers to get different?
Tough. Well, once they're set, we don't move them all that often. But getting down there, they're about 25 feet underneath the parking lot. So you kind of go in the boiler room and open this manhole cover, and you go down a ladder with like rungs in the concrete, like going into a submarine.
Like there's dead animals down there, right?
There might be dead setup guys down there. I don't know.
Oh, you know what?
Certainly smells bad.
I read somewhere that was it Michael Bublé that decided to redo a Frank Sinatra song, and all the mics were the same. Everything was the same, and it had the same vibe.
Yeah.
Were you a part of that?
It's happened before where people have come in and said, I really want that, Frank Sinatra vocal sound. We said, all right, well, here's the mic. Go, You can't do it. I mean, I can put a microphone in front of you. It's not going to make you sound like Frank Sinatra.
No, it's not.
Michael Bublé is probably the closest I've ever heard, though. Michael's a really good
How many
singer.
chambers are there?
There's 8 chambers altogether.
Wow.
They're all fairly similar. They all sound a little bit different. We don't actively go down. I mean, we go down there if stuff breaks or something like that.
Sure.
We're not allowed to take people down there anymore because it's kind of a precarious.
Yeah, it's just a little bit
The
of
building
liability
insurance people
situation,
kind of
yeah.
got nuts.
Those chambers have been copied and measured and emulated.
Not really. We're really militant about.
Protecting it.
Yeah, I don't even have an impulse of the chambers.
Wow.
We've never done it.
Wow.
And to be honest with you, it really wouldn't work anyways, because I mean, I can change the sound of the chamber depending on how hard I drive it. Sometimes you'll hear it, like the reverb will be getting thick, and I'll just back the sends off that's going into the chamber, and it'll thin out a little bit. And
I've read measurements of the chambers like a long time ago.
could be
I wonder if those were accurate now. I wonder if somebody just made that stuff up.
possible. Yeah, I mean, there was a scare a couple years ago where they were going to do some construction in Hollywood, and we
Right.
thought they might be in danger, so we did kind of take measurements. We never actually got to the point of doing. At one point, we had a plan to do impulse responses, just so that if for some reason we lost them.
Right. Was that the whole condo? We're going to convert the building.
Yeah, that was
that mess.
Yeah, it was a mess.
Yeah,
It
it
was
was a
never
mess.
going to happen. There was two things. There was a rumor about the building becoming condos a long time ago.
Yep.
That was never, ever, ever going to happen. Then there was some construction that was going to happen right next door, and the economy tanked, and that project went
Got that-
away.
that went away. Got it.
But because of that, the echo chambers are actually a historic landmark in Los Angeles now.
So they will be
So the
touched.
studios are a landmark, and the chambers are a separate historic landmark.
Very cool.
So
That will
they're
preserve
fairly
that.
protected.
Yeah,
That sounds cool, but you just redid one of the studios. Did you have to get permission to do that?
Well, we just redid kind of aesthetics and inside.
So that doesn't qualify?
Yeah, we didn't do any
I
structural.
love the white ceiling, by the way.
It's great.
You brought that up when we were over there.
Yeah.
Oh man,
It just makes it feel a little more up, especially in a mixer. Mixer rooms can get kind
Yeah, get a little
of
claustrophobic
cramped
and
a little
tight. Yeah,
bit.
I agree.
Yeah.
Did I hear you say somewhere that the new Neve that's in there now sounds better than the old Neve that was in there?
Well, the old Neve that was in Studio A was a VR. So we have a brand new 88R, brand new, 2 years old now, which is another funny story about big rock stars. But
Oh, well, now you have to tell it. Are you kidding me? You can't dangle that out there. And
We'll edit it out.
we had
Go ahead, like we always do.
So we redid our Studio A. We had a custom 88R build with the post-production panel, the whole 9 yards. We went about 2 weeks long on the installation. But Al and I were going to do a live Paul McCartney DVD. We had just done a record with Paul, and we had this deal. It was a big deal. It was live to the world.
Wow.
Well, but the install of the console kept running late. So literally the very first session we ever did on the brand new console was Paul McCartney live to the
Oh,
world.
God.
And it was
no
kind of
pressure there.
like I walked in the day of the session and there were feet hanging out from under the console with guys still putting
Oh
wires
my
together.
God.
And yeah.
Did it come
was-
off?
Yeah.
You pulled it off?
Perfect.
Amazing.
Yeah. You can buy the DVD now.
Amazing. Amazing.
Most of my audience, probably in their lifetime, will never have to worry about the phase relationship between more than 3 or 4 mics. How do you get the phase relationship correct on 800 million mics? And do you ever worry about in between 0 and 180, or you just only worry about 0 and 180 out at that time?
At that time, first of all, every microphone gets electronically phase checked before every session. We have
With what?
Phase clicker. We have a phase popper. We actually stuck ours on a big stick, so we stick it up to the mic and it pops and it shows me pause. So it's all electronically in phase when we start.
Hold on. In order for something to be in phase or out of phase, it has to be compared to something else. So when you're popping a mic, what are you comparing that phase to?
Well, it's being it's electronic phase that it's actually just pushed that it's pushing the speaker and not pulling. So we get all the mics pushing in the right direction.
Okay.
After that, you're using your ears. You're moving stuff around to where if something starts to sound phasey, you mute a couple of things, see what makes it weird, and then go out and push the mic around.
Do you ever like use something like the Little Labs
No,
to
not
get in
really.
between 0 and 180?
No, I mean, I'll use something like that sometimes on a drum kit if I think stuff like that is out of phase. But a lot of times, the phase and timing differences is what gives you that size and what gives you that sense of depth. So unless we hear something that sounds really odd to us, we kind of just let
And
it
then
go.
it's a mic placement thing?
Yeah. If something's weird, you may go out and shift the mic again. I wear tennis shoes because I'm always running out.
I've come to a few sessions, and you are always busy,
yeah.
for sure.
Do you have a preference, like Nikes, Adidas?
No, Adidas probably.
Okay.
Sounds like a
Depends
product
on the
line.
session, how many people are.
Explain
Audio
to,
tennis shoes.
audio
Let
tennis.
me
A
work
lot
that
of guys
out.
nowadays are recording themselves at home and maybe one singer. Explain when you have a big band and when you have a vocalist out there and the soloist comes along in the big band, you have to ride some faders. So you're always moving faders while you're recording.
Absolutely.
And explain that process, because I that's the way I learned too. And of course, you got it from Al, but
That's where, yeah.
I think it'd be instructive. You'll knock off, 2 or 3 dB maybe with a compressor, and then the rest is like,
Fader moves.
explain how you do that.
Always have our hands on the faders. It's knowing the music. It's reading the charts. When I started at Capitol, I was the world's worst guitar player. Never, I knew a little bit of music theory, not much. When I started working at Capitol, the guys would come in on scoring dates and stuff and hand you these big, huge scores and go, all right, we're going to punch in at bar 42. And, or after the coda, we're going to do this. And I kind of went cross-eyed. I actually went back to community college and took music theory classes, to where now I can follow the
that's
charts.
so cool.
Can I read the music and play it? Absolutely not. But I know where bar 42 is, and I know what's going to happen when I hit that sign, and it's going to go back to here, and it's going to go here.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is reading the charts. There's a couple people, like if you watch Al and I do a big band session, he may be on, he's got all the faders grouped. Microphones are on the big faders so that we can push and pull them. And I'll be following along on the chart, or somebody will be following along the chart, and it's, we're watching, and it's, the trumpets are going into mutes. Well, when they're going into mutes, you're going to have to push that fader up a few dB.
Right.
So, they're in mutes now, you push it up, they're out of mutes. Here comes the third trombone, has a solo.
Mutes means you put a little toilet plunger over it?
Yeah, like a plunger that they put in, gives it that kind of pinched sound.
Home Depot?
Home Depot. Good. Yeah. Or, strings, here comes the pizzicato strings where they're, yeah. You'd be surprised what those guys put in those horns.
We'll talk about that offline.
I didn't mean to cut you off. You were saying something really
It could be pizzicato strings where they're plucking.
Yeah.
Here comes the plucking section. So you push the violins up so you hear the ping, 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 ping.
One of the things that, because what you just described, I remember when I came over, I watched. They did, and you came the day after I went.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that big band project. I saw some footage which was shot by our line producer and wonderful guy. We call him BP. He's got a beautiful eye. It just was amazing to watch. And I tell you what was amazing to watch. The room was full of people who got the opportunity to watch you and Al work. And that room was a mixture of folks who were young, like Chongor, to Andrew Shep. I mean, it was just...
Andrew Sheps was the first person.
First guy there was just industrious about watching. And I remember...
I thought he was working there. He paid?
He was the first, when we put out
Did he
and
really?
said, we're going to do this, he said, I'm in, I don't care what it costs, I want to come, I'm in.
And honestly, he's been that way with the Pensado Awards, too.
Yeah, Andrew's the best.
he absolutely. But what was fascinating, because I was just going to stop by to say hello, and I was entranced. One, by the craftsmanship and stewardship coming from Al. Two, the way you guys worked. And then there's just a magic to the music when it's being handled that way. And I didn't move for hours. Yeah. So that project is going to be on DVD. Tell us a little about it.
That project we did it as a kind of master class that Al and I put together to do as a master class. And then when we got involved in it, we said, well, we got to shoot this for video. So, to get back to the class, we needed a band.
Yeah.
So, you can't have a big band class without a big band. So our friend Chris Walden, who's an arranger who has a big band in town, we went to Chris and said, hey, this is what we want to do. We need a band and music. And he went, no problem, I'll take care of it. So what we did that day, it was 2 days, and we recorded one day and we kind of did some mixing the next day. But we recorded an entire album that day. We did 10 songs with the big band in 2 3-hour sessions. We were flying. That's probably as fast as we've ever moved.
It was amazing.
But yeah, it was really fun when it gets going like that. It's,
You mixed them like 10 minutes?
Yeah, the mixing is pretty quick because Al's mixing as he goes. We're always mixing as we go. So stuff that we've recorded, we can mix. It's lightning fast. There were a couple overdubs that happened afterward. We didn't bring in all the vocalists, just a couple of vocalists that day.
Right.
We've since, Brian shot the whole thing. editing that together. There's going to be, a DVD of some sort that'll come out soon. We're pretty much done with the editing on that. So that'll be available.
A little bit of that, even while you speak now. Oh, no question about it.
It was when we saw the video footage, we couldn't believe it.
Me too. I called Brian.
It was great.
Chevy, who was involved in the process, and Ryan Hewitt and a bunch of folks, right?
Oh, Ryan.
Sure.
Chevy sent me a link, and I called, as soon as I saw it, I called you, I called Brian. I was like, this looks gorgeous.
Great.
I mean, it's really gorgeous.
Yeah. And they really caught what we were trying to do, which was, and it will be a record. It will be Chris Walden's big band. It'll be his record.
Oh, great.
So we're pretty much done with the record. We still had, because there was some overdubs to do. We'll go back and mix everything in one day.
Right.
He'll probably spend an hour and a half on each song, and we'll knock through it. So
amazing.
So you'll be able to see it hopefully next year.
I was recently at Blackbird Studios recording a band, and what kept going through my mind is, when I was at that session with you, I've never seen that many mics in Omni, and it scared me. And so I'm thinking, I gotta do something in Omni here.
You're under Omni pressure.
But I was self-taught, and so logically, if you've got a mic in Omni, it's picking up everything around it. But yet you guys live in Omni, and I get me up to speed so I can learn how to do that real quick.
Well, first of all, you have to have the right room. I've had people call me and say, "Man, I tried to do this thing in Omni, it just sounded horrible."
Well, that was me. Yeah,
your room is not great. If you have a crappy room, you're picking up a crappy room. That's all there is to it.
Okay. So the concept with you guys is you're not just putting the mic in Omni, you're micing the room and the source. That's the way you're thinking.
Basically, yeah, you're micing everything. There's so much going on at once that, you still have control. We'll have 6 mics on the saxophones, all in, or 5 mics on the saxophones, all in Omni. If we need to pull up sax 2, we can push that fader, it's fine. But you're not going to get just sax 2.
Right.
The other thing is the microphones usually sound better in Omni, because you're not doing any kind of either mechanical or phase shifting to get that cardioid pattern. So the mic is usually a bit more open sounding. Also, a mic in Omni, it's only Omni. As you get to the higher frequencies, it does get more, the polar pattern kind of closes down a little bit.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, as you get to the higher frequencies, it becomes more directional.
But don't you, my massive physics background says that you need a pretty dead room in order for an Omni mic to work.
Not necessarily, no. But you are picking up a lot of stuff.
Huh?
Where'd you go to school?
Sears.
Again, you have to have the right room. You have to have, if you have a single source, like a vocal, we might not use in Omni because we don't want that much room in there. But there's a lot of stuff going on in that room too. We're trying to capture the whole room.
On a typical rock drum kit miking, how many mics would be in Omni? Say the overheads and the room mics?
Yeah, room mics probably. Overheads, depending on the mic we're using. I use a lot of figure 8 mics also. That's something,
Like
I know.
Ribbon figure 8s?
Ribbon figure 8s, or like a 67s flip to because they're, especially ribbon mics, the rejection on the sides is incredible. So you can use that polar pattern to your advantage. If you have, if I don't want something in it, if I have, a sax player and a trumpet player, well, if I put them the right way, I can have the trumpet player blow into make sure if he's blowing into the side of the sax mic, you're not going to hear a lot of it, at least the direct sound. So, you can angle drum mics, angle snare mics away from hi-hats and stuff like that.
Before we go to batter's box, give me one Les Paul story.
Last time I saw Les Paul, we were in the hallway at Capitol.
Wow.
I only met him a couple of times.
Like 6, 7 years ago?
This was a while ago. This was maybe 10 years ago.
Okay.
And I wanted to ask, because he designed our echo chambers.
No joke.
And I wanted to, and that was the story I'd always heard.
Right.
Les Paul designed, because he was a Capitol artist at the time. Les Paul designed the echo chambers. So I said, Les, I got to ask you, everybody's always told, did you actually design the echo chamber? Oh, yeah. He said, actually, I came across the drawings a couple weeks ago. They're in my office. And he said he had the draw. I don't know where they ever. Once we heard that, we were trying to get them, but I don't know whatever happened to them. But,
oh wow!
Oh yeah, I just drew them on a piece of paper. Yeah. You guys still use them? Yeah.
God,
We gotta do.
You need to do a book.
Yeah.
Literally, because the stories of that's interesting. So we'll talk about
The
that.
hallway at Capitol, you run into some great people.
I have run into, we did a lot of string sessions there, my management days, and and then there was some mastering that we did back in the day, and invariably, if you're just in the hallway, you're going to
never know who you're going to run into,
literally,
or
amazing.
who's going to wander in.
And it used to be the lobby.
Yeah.
Too, when that was going on. How's your arm, bud? Loosening up. You ready to throw some batter's box
I'll be
pitches?
ready.
Yeah,
I'll be
you
ready.
Right.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Oh, hold on a second. You got to run our little batter's box graphic.
That scared me.
That's why I'm here.
Wasn't expecting
One-legged
crowd
makes so
noise.
much noise.
All right, BP, fire it up. DP, fire it up.
I resemble that remark.
BP. We didn't have BP.
We have some private nicknames.
Piano.
2 149s over the hammers.
Ooh.
XY?
No.
Okay. Horns.
What kind of horns?
I'll take anything.
67s in Omni.
Okay. Oh, I forgot. You can't say anything by Neve or Neumann. No Neves, no Neumanns today. It's a Neumann Neve-free zone.
Free day. Okay. So you want to go back?
No. My bad. Stereo bus.
The NTI EQ is the hardware version. Now the plug-in, I use the plug-in at home. Is it the MOG with the airband?
Mog, yeah. Our buddy, Cliff Mog.
And Al uses a tube tech limiter. I've actually, on the records I've been doing lately, have been not limiting all that much on the stereo bus.
Reverb.
Chamber.
Okay, this is a tricky one. A problem 200 hertz or lower on a bass. What would you reach for first?
I've been using multi-band compressors. And
Hardware,
and
software?
I use software, either the C4, but I just found the Isotope multi-band stuff.
Both are good.
Both are good, and not necessarily always for compression. Sometimes I'll have a little bit of compression, but you can pull the gain down on the low end, and it's like pulling down the low end. So I use it as an EQ also.
Same thing, but 10K and up.
Same thing, multi-band compression.
Delays.
Don't use a lot of delay. Software, Echo Boy, hardware, tape.
Those sound toys guys, I love them.
Yeah, they have great presets too.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
fun.
Yeah, I agree. Acoustic bass.
Not Neumann.
No.
That's 2 149s. No, 251s. Pair of 251s.
Remind me next time saying no German shit. I screw it.
Call Chuck Berghofer.
Okay, I'm gonna get you on this one. Name me the cheapest piece of gear you've used on a hit or well-known record.
Cheapest piece of gear? 57.
Oh man.
What record do you know? What hit record?
A lot of them.
They
I use 57s all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
SM7. I love SM7. That's
Yeah,
kind of
me
my
too.
desert island. Usually if like a 67 or a 47 doesn't work, I go straight to an SM7. There's kind of no in between. And with a 57 and SM, if something doesn't sound good, usually an SM7 you'll
fix it.
That'll be fine.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the good mics make bad sounding stuff sound bad.
Right.
It's just it's so good that it makes a
good
crappy
point.
acoustic guitar sound like a crappy acoustic guitar.
Yeah, that's true.
Put a 57 in front of it.
Okay, I
it's fine.
concede.
Yeah. It was a combination of bat speed and sort of cerebral stuff. It was hard to. Your efforts were valiant. We kind of knocked you out of the box there.
I'm never gonna win one of these, am I?
You've won a few, but they were a long time ago.
Yeah, but you
As a
didn't
quality-
announce it.
Well, I did, but
doesn't matter, nobody
nobody's watching
knows.
back then. We'll go back and do a
Yeah,
retrospective.
speaking of batter's box, tell your friend Kevin over at Mix Coach.
Kevin at Mix Coach?
Yeah,
I got a text
I
from him
loved
this
his
morning.
interview with you, and my name's Dave Pensado.
Are you trying to remember?
No, he didn't. In fact, our audience, you guys should go check that website out. It's a great interview with Steve, and Kevin did a great job.
It's a fun website too. I'm active in. I download the tracks that he has sometimes and mix them
Good
for
cat.
fun.
Where's he
It's
from?
fun.
He has a southern accent.
He's in Nashville.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
I'm actually going to see him. I think he's coming out in a couple of weeks.
Oh,
too.
tell him I said hello.
Absolutely. Let's introduce our man Chongor Gans over in the corner office. Chongor, you there?
Yep, how's it going, man?
I'm good. You got a few questions for our friend here?
Yep, let's get started.
Well, let's fire away, sir.
Let's get started.
This first one's from Jordan Pollock. With mixing from home and Capitol, what elements of a mix do you find are easier to get right in a pro studio versus a project studio?
Pro studio, it's always easier to get it right. I love mixing in the box. It's really fun. There's a lot of projects that lend itself to mixing in the box, whether it be budget or time or whatever, but there's nothing like putting a track up on a big Neve console. It's just, I find if I'm mixing in the analog domain, I'm doing a lot less. I don't have to EQ as much. I don't have to compress as much. It's probably just because I grew up in it. My workflow is a little bit better, although it's getting better in the box. But they both have their place.
Yeah.
Can I toss something in on Jordan? Hey, Jordan. Recently, I've moved studios a few times, and I thought that the room acoustics weren't that important. They were important, but not that important, and I could make anything work. And as I'm doing this more and more, I'm realizing that the quality of the room and what you're hearing is way more important than I actually thought. It can be the difference between fatiguing after 4 hours or being done in 3.
And disposition. I've noticed this in managing you. When you're in the right kind of room, you approach mixing with a different kind of perspective.
Yeah, I think mixing's a team sport. I don't think it should be done alone. I like working with people.
I agree.
Chongor, give us another. I'm sorry.
Sometimes you need another person.
Yeah.
Does this suck?
Luckily, I have assistants that are honest.
Yeah.
Chongor, give us another one.
This one's from Luke Eidcard. What's your favorite recording technique that you used for Aerosmith, and how many layers do you use normally for rock vocals?
Aerosmith stuff I did was horn sessions. So I never recorded vocals with them. So that was basic horn stuff. Lots of 67s in Omni with Neve preamps.
I'm gonna hijack this thread.
Okay.
You work with Steve Vai, Randy Jackson, Travis Barker on Mary J. Blige's Stairway to Heaven.
Yep.
Can you give me a 10-second breakdown of that session?
Crazy fast. Ron Fair was the producer.
Ron Fair on piano.
And Orianthi played guitar. And Tal Herzberg played bass, who's
Tal,
no longer with us. Yeah, Tal was supposed to be the engineer, and then he got roped into playing bass. And so again, here's being a staff engineer. Guess who got the engineer? It was fun. It went fast. It was one day.
Really?
One day of recording. Yeah, we just kind of went in.
Did anybody along the way go, maybe we shouldn't be doing this song?
No, what was funny is Mary didn't really know the song. She wasn't as familiar with it as the rest of us who, knew it note for note. Anybody in the room could have probably walked out and played it.
Absolutely.
So when she started to do her vocal, because she wasn't as tied to the original, she actually made it. We were all kind of like,
I love
it. We're on touchy ground here with this. Nobody really said it out loud, but it was like.
Yeah.
And then she started singing. I was like, well, this is gonna be cool because she's not making it like the original. So this is actually really cool. I guess the mixing was probably more fun. I kept hearing stories coming back from
the album
mixing.
is stronger. Anyway, check it out. It's pretty
I always
amazing.
get like 1 or 2 songs, these like especially the big pop albums and stuff. Really like, what'd you do on that record? Well, I did the strings. It took 3 hours.
That's it.
They showed up, they left.
Exactly.
How's so and so? I don't know. I never met him.
How well do you know Steve Vai?
I've worked with Steve over the years a couple of times.
I want him on the show.
He's great. Yeah.
Chongor, give us the last one.
This was from Science, the producer. If you just arrived in America to begin your engineering journey, which city would you go to?
Ooh, how interesting is that?
I would come to LA. I've recorded, many parts of the country or the world. I think the studios here are better. I think the musicians here are better. There's just more people. There's also more stuff going on here. I think when you first start out, all of us, wanted to make Rolling Stones albums.
Sure.
We all thought we were going to be the next, Bob Clearmountain or whatever it was. And then you realize that there's other avenues.
Yeah.
You can go into film scoring. You can go into post-production. You can go. So I think if you're just starting out, you have to keep your eyes open to
Absolutely.
the other stuff, and you might be good at it. 20 years ago when I started Capitol, if you would have told me I'd be sitting here talking about making jazz and big band records, I
Right.
would have smacked you.
Right, exactly.
That was not what I wanted to do. I
Exactly.
wanted to be making U2 albums.
Right.
You know, I realized I really liked making big band. Not that I don't like making U2 albums, which I've never done, but you know, I like making those kind of records too. But I also found there was all this other stuff to do. Movie scoring can be really hard, but it can be really fun. You know, live recording is great. We do a lot of live events at Capitol where a band will come in and we'll knock out 10 songs in one day
Yeah.
for live broadcast or whatever it is, live radio show, the Oscars, that kind of stuff. It's so much fun.
Certain genres just lend themselves to engineering fun. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like there's some genres where there's not a lot for the engineer to do except hook up synthesizers, and then
Right.
then like the big band stuff. When I was there watching you guys, I was just jealous.
It was amazing.
It was
It
just
was amazing.
It's our flipping playlist, you know.
Time flies when you're having fun. So glad we did this. man.
Absolutely.
We've been
Yeah.
waiting on you for a
We're done
minute.
already?
And,
Wow.
I know, it goes really quickly.
Well, you guys have to come to Capitol one day.
No, we
and we'll
want to
do
that. We want to do that.
'Cause-
And we're going to see it at the Pensado Awards,
Absolutely.
too.
We'll be there.
Steve has
we got
been-
some fun stuff.
Yes, Steve's been
Steve's
great.
really helped us out a lot.
Been a great help, and you'll understand that in a couple weeks. We could not be more honored at your presence. We just love the way you approach it. We love, obviously, Al and Capital and Paul and all the folks over there. You know, we do a lot of stuff around the country and teach and so on and so forth, and love to get you on one of those panels.
Anytime. Anytime.
folks
I
could-
love doing that kind of stuff.
Folks could benefit from your knowledge.
it's fun.
DP, take us home.
One of the things that strikes me week after week after week, talking to some of the best of the best of the best, is the amount of art they get into their craft. Now, clearly, engineering is a craft, but the great ones put a little art in it too. So check out Steve's work, and we'll see you next week.